Okay, so I just sit down here, just got done working the old 9 to 5. And yes, Davante Adams has been traded to the New York Jets. And if you could see here, compensation update. The trade for Davante Adams expected to get finalized today. It will be for a conditional third round pick that can go to a second round pick per sources. And the interesting thing is, it's not going to be a second round pick because the things that you've seen, I'm sure, that are the conditions that have to be met are two things. One of two things. The first thing is Devontae either has to be first team All Pro and second team All Pro, and I'm not denying that he still has the skills or capability to do that, but he's just missed so many games that it's going to be hard for me to see him actually making one of those teams. The other contingency is if he's healthy and on the roster for the Jets to be playing in the AFC Championship game, which ain't going to happen. So this is probably the best we could have done. The best thing that Tommy T did with this trade is make sure we don't play another single red dime of Davante Adams' salary. And this is what I want to talk about because we are in full-blown rebuild mode now, the Las Vegas Raiders, that is. However, this could be expedited on a Houston Texans level if we hit on one single draft pick, that being quarterback. I know it's easier said than done, but Telesco has a good track record of not only picking blue chip Pro Bowl type players, but hitting on quarterbacks, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you look at Sports Track, per the Adams trade, the Raiders have freed up $28.4 million of cap space for 2025 and now project to hold around $108 million next offseason, which will be fifth in the NFL. And the important thing to know about that is not only will we be able to go get players to fill the holes in our roster, but we can keep some of these homegrown guys like a Malcolm Kuntz, like a Trayvon Merrick, like a Divine Diablo, like a Nate Hobbs, to put this roster in the best position to move forward with young guys slowly stepping into their prime. Fast forwarding to this year's NFL draft, assuming Aiden O'Connell doesn't become the second coming, which I think is assumptions we could all make. However, you got to play him the rest of the year to make sure, hey, maybe you have a good backup here. He's still on a fourth-round contract. You don't have to pay so much money to have a backup quarterback like we offer Gardner Minshew. A good backup is something that's very important. The Dolphins probably could use someone like an Aiden O'Connell to step in and maybe win them a game or two. And if Aiden develops into a great backup quarterback, that's pretty good for a fourth-round pick. So you still got to play him. We win some games, we lose some games, whatever. Once we get into the draft, that is going to be how we expedite this thing. Because if Tom Telesco, and I believe Antonio Pierce will be here to make the pick as well, if these two guys can hit on this quarterback, we are going to have a Houston Texans level expedited rebuild. Because if you plug and play a good quarterback, a young athletic prospect, and pair him with a Brock Bowers, a Trey Tucker, probably a new running back, whether that's a free agency or the NFL draft. You've got these young guys on the offensive line now, like a DJ Glaze and Jackson Powers-Johnson. You've got a fully healthy, realized Patrick Graham defense now, and then maybe you use some of this cap space to go sign a T. Higgins, an upcoming free agent. Now you're rocking and rolling, and if you have a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward or a Drew Aller, and one of these guys steps in and takes the reins right off the rip, we're off and running, baby. We have the roster still in place. And this is why I said it was key to draft Brock Bowers before anyone ever even considered drafting him. Now you have your focal point replacement for Davante Adams. And when this new rookie quarterback comes into the Las Vegas Raiders facility and steps onto the field, it's not going to be like Drake May throwing to a bunch of nobodies. It's going to be you stepping into a roster that still could be a quarterback away. And before I get into the master plan here, I just want to let you guys know about you guys not being subscribed. What's up with that? We are about 400, not even, subscribers away from 10,000, which is absolutely insane. And if you notice right here, 63% of you guys that keep watching are not yet subscribed, so let's change that. One more thing we need to be checking out is the Patreon. I've just hit 20 paid members on Patreon, which is absolutely insane. That's insane. Videos early, your name at the end of the credits, ad-free content. YouTube channel monthly advice. There's like a masterclass, 1 episode per month going up on that Patreon. Link is in the description below, or simply go to patreon.com/ALLaBordeRaiders to sign up. Let's run this thing to the moon. Now I would like to discuss Tom Telesco and what seemed to be the master plan. And the reason why I do think Antonio Pierce's job security is pretty good at this point, and people have made good points. I've been critical of how the team has played under Antonio Pierce. However, there's no denying that Antonio Pierce's plan A in the offseason was signing Cliff Kingsbury and drafting Jaden Daniels. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And Tom Telesco was all in on Jaden. They tried to move heaven and earth. Apparently the rumor is 3 first-round picks to the Commanders, and they said no. There's not much more you could offer there. And if AP wanted to go Jaden and Cliff, Davante would probably still be on the roster. We probably have 5 or 6 wins at this point. However, we were not in position to do that. Cliff Kingsbury bailed on us. He wanted to go with Jaden Daniels, and the rest is history. If Tom Telesco really wanted to go get Jaden Daniels and that he was the best quarterback in the draft, that is yet further proof. Not only did Tom Telesco draft Justin Herbert, not only was he in the room when Bill Polian drafted Andrew Luck, but now he's put his stamp of approval on a Jaden Daniels who's come in and run away with this Rookie of the Year thing so far. I do trust Tom Telesco with whoever he wants to draft going forward. And Antonio Pierce's plan A would have won us a lot of games this year. I do think now plan B, taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture, was to try to quote-unquote run it back. Get Gardner Minshew in here, have him compete with Aiden. Gardner won 9 games last year with a decent roster. If he and Davante can get on the same page, if Zamir White can take the next step, blah, blah, blah. If all these things work out, maybe we win 10 games, make the playoffs, and we just run it back again. However, a lot of injuries. Some guys didn't perform like we thought. The line was a mess. Luke Getsy maybe is not the best play caller of all time. We're 2-3 and Davante wants out. So now our plan B, which was to try to be competitive, doesn't work. Now we are in plan C. Although plan C might be the best version of the future because we didn't have to trade 4 or 5 first-rounders to get Jaden Daniels. In fact, we got a third, which may be a second now for Davante. You go with AOC. You see what you have in him. Maybe you get lucky and he becomes a decent quarterback. Worst case scenario, he becomes a backup for the Raiders for the foreseeable future, which is totally fine. You see what you have in Luke Getsy. You see what you have in Antonio Pierce. All the while, Tom Telesco is lurking behind the scenes to figure out who is the diamond in the rough, who is the best quarterback in this draft for the Las Vegas Raiders. Odds are we have a top 10 pick, top 6 pick. If not, we can move up because there's going to be teams ahead of us drafting who do not need a quarterback. And then all of a sudden, Tommy T pulls the trigger. We draft our next franchise guy, and if he hits, I know it's a big if, but if he hits, we go get a wide receiver in free agency, a running back in the draft. Maybe you go Shedeur Sanders first overall, your second-round pick is Nick Singleton. Or you use a 2 and a 3 to trade back up into the first to get a stud wide receiver. Now you're rocking and rolling, and we got rookie quarterback, rookie contract. We have the flexibility to keep a Crosby and a Wilkinson and a Kuntz and a Hobbs. And all this comes together. Now, I know it's frustrating. That means that this year it might not go our way. We might lose a lot of games. And I'm not pro-tank. I'm anti-tank. I want to win every single game we play because we're not guaranteed tomorrow as human beings. I know we like to plan for the future, but why are we going to lose games now if I'm not even going to be alive to see the fruits of all the labor that we put into planning for the future? I want to win as many games as possible. You got to do the right thing, and the quarterback will fall to you. Or the quarterback will be there for the taking, and you got to go up and get him. But I trust in Tom Telesco because this draft class has turned out to be absolutely amazing. I trust in the vision of Antonio Pierce thus far because his plan A would have been the best case scenario for the Raiders. It was the right move to trade Davante. Let's try to enjoy the rest of these games moving forward. Let's see if Luke Getsy is a viable play caller. If not, you got to make a change. And I mentioned this offensive coordinator 6 months ago when I said Cliff Kingsbury was my number 1 choice before anyone even thought that Kingsbury was a potential option. This guy was on my radar. He is the wide receivers coach / pass game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. He's a former NFL player, Super Bowl champion, and he's also best friends with the new minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. His name is Wes Welker. Before working under Mike McDaniel, he was working as a wide receivers coach for the San Francisco 49ers. He has the ability to implement the vertical passing game and the motion offense for the running game of the Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers. If Luke Getsy isn't the guy, you bring in Wes Welker, you draft a quarterback, you sign a T. Higgins, you develop a running back. All of a sudden, we are the Houston Texans 2.0. A lot of ifs, but I trust in the people that are in the building right now, especially with Brady there, to make the right decisions. In Telesco, we trust. Comment below your thoughts. Join the Discord. Hit likes. Hit the like button. Comment stuff. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.